of course, we always don't market it that way because whenever I talk about things in this way, suddenly people start thinking about, okay, maybe I'm start trying to start a revolution.
Hey, welcome to Prompt and Circumstance. I'm Elon,
And I'm David.
and today we're speaking with Hira Siddiqui of Plurality Network, who just launched the #1 product in Product Hunt, AI Context Flow. All right, on today's episode, we're speaking with Hira Siddiqui. She launched AI Context Flow. It's an app that was launched on Product Hunt. It rocketed to #1, and it's a product that really allows you to port your context between different LLMs. So you don't have to rewrite all of the information about anything that you're doing. It's something that I've used. We actually released an episode a few weeks ago where we did a first look at this tool. And in this conversation, we go all over the place.
There's something for product people, there's something for startup people, and there's something for AI people.
Absolutely. Hope you enjoy the conversation. This week's episode is brought to you by Querio. Have you ever found that your data team is bogged down in ad hoc questions from users, or that your product team can't quite get the answers that they're looking for out of the product? Querio's AI agent sits on top of your data stack and allows you to ask natural language questions to get the answers that you need immediately. Try it today by going to querio.ai. Let them know that David and Elon sent you for 2 months free of their Explorer product. It's $1,000 value. Well, it's wonderful to meet you. Thank you so much for joining us. Can you tell us a little bit about your background?
I also have almost a decade of experience in IT companies, big companies, small companies, startups, corporates, Fortune 100 companies, the entire shebang. But I've always kind of worked on the what's upcoming new topics. My first job was essentially in a department that was R&D department, and I think I kind of got this. I was like, I always kind of felt pulled towards newer technologies, kind of like what's cutting edge, bleeding edge. I don't mind reading research papers and implementing stuff right out of research papers. So that's an area where I kind of always felt like I could shine. So that's why in the past 10 years I've worked on a lot of interesting technologies, Web3, AI, decentralized identity, self-sovereign identity, AI clouds. So very versatile experience, but more or less always on whatever's new, whatever's the hottest thing in the market right
Very
now.
cutting
That's the
edge.
kind of stuff. Yeah, yeah. I think my first job kind of set the scene for the whole decade. So I just kind of continued doing it. So that was like, yeah. So currently, for the past couple of years, I've been working in Deutsche Telekom as a solutions architect. And this product is something, AI Context Flow Plurality Network, this is something that we've been bootstrapping for a little while and trying to see like how it goes. Trying to find like what is the one thing that really sticks.
I'm curious. So basically, if I understand correctly, what you were working on in Plurality Network before was something about storing your identity in a zero knowledge way so that with distributed apps who are not using cookies and whatever to kind of track who you are across the entire internet, you can still have a personalized experience. Do I understand that sort of correctly?
Yeah, so that's like an initial idea. So let me tell you like a little background story. So for the past 6, 7 years, what I've worked on basically is what you can say the self-sovereignty of user data and identity. What that essentially means is that today when we go on the internet, our identity and data is like split and siloed into the dozens, gazillions of platforms that we use. An average person has 7 different profiles. We are on now 10 different AI agents, and the entire premise of when the internet was created, when the internet was born, was that it's supposed to be open and everything needs to be plugged into each other and everything needs to work with each other. But
Hmm.
data proved to be such a big moat that somewhere in 2000s, everyone decided that it's a good idea to silo as much user data as possible, try to like have this personalization by making the user generate their data in one platform and then disallowing them to switch into any other. So this became kind of like a competitive advantage, and that's why these data silos became bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And we started seeing a lot of negative impacts, negative effects of it as well. So in 2015, 2016, somewhere around this time, the same time when Web3 as a technology was being developed, and people were talking about not only decentralization of money, but also decentralization of data and identity, there was a parallel group of researchers that was working on self-sovereign identity. So these were like, but this was like mostly university-led and a lot of European Union-led research. This is called self-sovereign identity. And this is also about like user needs to own their own data, user needs to own their own identity and be able to take it from any place to any place. Consequently, when I joined Deutsche Telekom, they just heard about this research area, and me and my team member, who's also the co-founder of Plurality Network, we were the people that actually started this small mini department inside Deutsche Telekom. That okay, what is this new concept? What is self-sovereign identity? How do we ensure that people are able to have freedom on the internet? So we started thinking about more in terms of the open context layer. Consequently, when we kind of created this term, this was early 2023. And when we used to say people like, okay, we are building an open context layer, everyone was like, what is context? What does context even mean? And now fast forward to 2025, context is a word that everybody just instantly gets. So that's also interesting. So we started about think since we had the background of Web3 and AI, Web3 and identity, we first started out the first version of the open context layer from that angle. That okay, how do you make sure that user has their data and they can plug it kind of like a USB switcher. So this we always used to give this USB switch example that how like you can take your USB and switch it anywhere. So why can't you do the same thing with your own data? And at some point in the last year, we figured out that okay, the problem that we wanted to solve is now a 10 times bigger problem with AI agents. How? So when you talk about data privacy on the internet or data control on the internet, all the data, what was the data that we were producing before? We were writing tweets, we were writing blogs, we were writing LinkedIn posts. These are things that are very curated, that we know that we are like pushing out into the public, and therefore we are putting some thought before we are like writing something on the internet. And just by your activity on the internet, there can be some inferences done about you, about your political beliefs, about your whether you're a family man or whether you're some different kind of you hold different kind of beliefs about your gender orientation. So you can kind of like infer a little bit things, but it's not that direct. But what's happening in AI agents? Now everyone is just going to agents and telling these agents everything about their seven generations and their children and their medical history and their kinks and their private lives and their fights with their boyfriends or husbands or whatever. So it's a whole different ball game. And the original thought of keeping the data in silos remains the same. But now what we are doing is now we are giving very intimate amount of information that before was very difficult to get out of somebody. And now people are willingly doing that. Now think about if this continues in 10 years, what's going to happen? And therefore this is like my personal mission behind what we are building. Of course we always don't market it that way, because whenever I talk about things in this way, suddenly people start thinking about okay, maybe I'm start trying to start a revolution, or I'm somebody that's way too much in the idealistic space. So we when we market it, we call it as okay, it's a productivity tool.
That's amazing. Was there a moment where it kind of like clicked for you and your co-founder that AI agents or LLMs is where we can really accelerate the adoption of this this tool and this kind of concept of owning your identity and your context across different tools?
Yeah, I think it's not that straightforward as an aha moment, but there was just one conversation that kind of stuck in my head, and I kept ruminating over it for several weeks, and then things started connecting with each other. So we were actually creating this decentralized profile system. We were done with it, and then we were thinking, okay, what next? What next can we do? And then I had a very interesting conversation with a person that I know, who, of course, I'm not going to tell who this person was, but somebody I know closely. And this person was having consistent problems in their dating life for the past couple of years. And then after being rejected again and again, this person actually created an AI girlfriend. And this was like very shocking for me. And we started having a very moralistic, idealistic kind of debate that this doesn't feel right. Like, why are you doing this? And then he said that, it's good for my mental health. And this, like, every morning I start the conversation with her, and then it feels better, and then I can work better. And then after work, I actually like have a whole routine where I say good night and tell about all my work day and like who was like mean to me or whatever. And at that point, I judged this person a little bit because it felt to me like emotional stuntness. But, and that is why probably my first reaction was not very good. But then later on, this was a conversation that stuck in my head, and I started like researching more into it. And then I saw that there was this one character platform in AI, and people like really created their AI agents there with their long-term memory, put everything about their preferences, everything in there, and then this platform shut down. And there were people that were so emotionally touched by this shutting down of this platform that they had these group memorials of their companions because it really felt to them like they lost somebody, like a real person.
Hmm.
And this felt dystopian to me. But then I mean, this is the state of the world. Loneliness is an epidemic, and this kind of hit me again. That okay, what about like these are all the people that are emotionally vulnerable, and then we are making platforms that give this intimate details about them to external platforms, and then they can shut down, they can misuse this data, they can start advertisements on this, and then when I was a teenager, I saw this Black Mirror episode. I don't know if you guys ever saw these Black Mirror episode, but it
Very
felt like all
familiar
of
with that
that is coming
series.
true. Yeah, it felt like all of that is coming true. And then it kind of
Right.
like that was kind of like the aha moment that okay, if this is the trajectory that we are going, can't we have like an alternative technological solution? And that is when we thought that okay, the same data portability protocol that we have built, why can't we implement it in the AI space? And that is where the AI context flow came from.
That's awesome. What a fantastic origin story that was. Thanks for sharing that with us. So do you find that in terms of those who would be adopting AI context flow, and it's more so in the knowledge worker space?
Okay, that this was also very interesting for us. They are actually people in marketing agencies. And then we actually had some interviews with these people as well. And what was happening was that marketing agencies, how do they work? So there's like a core group of 4 or 5 people. There's like one graphic designer, one content writer, one social media manager, and there are like these 4 or 5 people. And then they have 10, 15 different clients, and they need to produce 4 to 5 pieces of content for these 10 different clients on a weekly basis. And therefore, these are the people that are, and of course, like with AI, the content production has gone through the roof, and nobody's like really manually writing everything. And these marketing agencies, the people in these marketing agencies, they are context switching essentially 40 to 50 times per day, because like if they have 10 clients and for each client they have to do 2 or 3 small tasks per day, then that's 40 to 50 switches. And these are the people that are also using multiple tools. So Nano Banana for images, then Claude for writing, then there are other obscure AI agents that they're using as well, ChatGPT for research or Gemini also for research. So they are also using like 5+ AI tools on a regular basis. So these are the people that actually saw the most time saving and cost saving from this universal context or one context that you can take everywhere.
Got it. So in this use case, are these users basically like, okay, I have 10 clients who I need to produce content for in a week. So each client is its own memory bucket, and then
Yes.
that way I can port that between.
Yes, sometimes it's like each client is a memory bucket, and sometimes for each client there are 3 to 4 buckets. So one for the social content, one for the web
Mm,
copy, one for the research part. There are like, and then there was also like one odd ICP. This was actually a fitness trainer that was working with 50 clients, and then he created like these buckets for each different client where he was like putting in, okay, this is the weight, this is the goal, this is the nutritional things that they need to eat. And then when then they were like asking about could there be like a WhatsApp bot connected to this so that when they message me, it automatically takes it from the memory bucket, creates a response, and then send it. So we're not building a WhatsApp bot now, but that was also a very interesting use case that I thought that people who are dealing with one-on-one with people. So let's say there's like one, I don't know, financial analyst that has 20 clients, one tax consultant that has 10 clients, one lawyer who has 50 clients. So they're then making like one bucket for one client as well. We didn't think of it this way when we were like creating AI context flow, but when you give it
Right.
to users, they use it in surprising ways.
Maybe soon there'll be an N8N node for AI context flow, and then you can,
Yeah,
connect it to WhatsApp and whatever else you need.
yeah. I some people also have asked for this. So there are like a lot of ideas in the
Yeah,
air, and we are kind of like figuring out, okay, what do we develop first?
The
which
classic,
sounds
the classic
like,
product management dilemma. Yes.
yeah. Well,
Yeah,
also, I think a classic sign of product market fit where your users are pulling you faster than you can build what they need.
yeah, yeah. We are definitely in that area right now. Like there are so many feature requests that my team is like nearing burnout right now, and I'm trying to raise, and then like I don't even have time to raise because there's like so much other stuff that needs handling, and like we don't know what to do at this point. It's yeah, but these are the good problems. These are the good kind of problems. I'm happy with these problems.
Yeah, yeah, makes sense. So, what was it like to hit top spot on Product Hunt?
It was surreal. I mean, I didn't even know about Product Hunt. Like I maybe heard about it a couple of times over the past 10 years, but never really knew about it. But then we developed this, and then the question came to mind, okay, how do we reach a mass amount of users? And
Hmm.
then I also went to ChatGPT. How do I market an extension? And then one of the ideas that came up that you can do a product hunt launch. Then okay, what is product hunt? And then we started looking into it. It was surreal because I didn't think that it would be like the number one product of the day, but I think it resonated with a lot of people.
So one thing that I saw you say online was that you're in this process of building up to the launch on Product Hunt, that you actually did a lot of work in other platforms as well to sort of like build community and build understanding, like shared understanding with other startups, and even did that within Product Hunt. Could you talk a little bit about kind of the process of building up this, relationship with other people who are kind of in a similar space as you?
Yeah, exactly. So most of the people that are launching on Product Hunt, okay, number one spot is nice and all, but what's the real goal behind it? The real goal is to actually get users that use your product and tell you whether it's like good or whether it's shit and you need to do something about it. That's pretty much the only reason why you're putting in the effort, right? And then, okay, there is a Product Hunt community that are people that really test out new products and they really try to like, see, okay, what's happening there. But ideally, you also need to reach people who are actively looking for a similar kind of solution. So where do you find these people? So you can find them on Reddit, you can find them on LinkedIn, you can or different ICPs exist on different platforms, but you need to see where your users are living. So what I did was that I thought that okay, I'm going to reach out to people that kind of seem like my ICP and then ask them to use my product. And then I actually sent messages to hundreds of people like 4 weeks before the launch. And then out of those hundreds of people, some people tried out the product, some loved the product. So the people who had like, who actually took out the time and were like, they thought that the product has some value to it. Then I asked them, like, we're also launching on Product Hunt. Would you like to support us? So most of the people that were using the product actually went and wrote really detailed comments when we actually launched. So this was like the comments part is not something that you can fix.
Yeah, what's it been like post launch in terms of getting feedback? Like
Yeah,
do you reach out directly to those who are using it? Is there like a advisory group that you set up among customers?
yeah. So what we did was that after the product hunt launch, we got over the next 7 to 10 days, we got around 700 users. And of course, some part of them got churned because there are a lot of people that like try it out and then they just try it out just like that and then they uninstall it. So there was some churn rate there as well. But the people who stayed, actually, what we did was that we store one thing in the database, that how many buckets is somebody creating. So for example, like how many buckets and how many like kind of like usage metrics. And around 10 days later, what we did was that we went into and we found out this Grafana Prometheus dashboard that we have, that which are the top 50 users basically. And then I personally emailed to these 50 users. We actually ran a small pricing test with them as well, that okay, is this a number that you feel like this is like value, is $10 the right value for this, is $20 mark the right value for this, and which agents should we support next. So all of this is something that I'm trying to, of course, like we have like 1500 users now. I cannot take the recommendations from 1500 people, but we just use the recommendation from the top 50 people.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. The personal email from a founder can certainly be like very powerful in these early
Yeah,
days.
I think that like that's the, so we do have a LinkedIn page, we do have a mailing list, we have like a lot of those things that people say that you need to do marketing like this. My background is not from marketing, so I have a few people that are helping me out figuring this marketing stuff out. But to be honest, the biggest pull or the biggest number of users that come are always when I do something personally. Like when I message somebody, the conversion rate is very different. When I post on LinkedIn, the conversion rate is like we will get 10 installs. If we do the same post from the product page, we would get maybe one or two installs. So literally the difference is like this. I'd heard that okay, founder-led marketing is something that builds trust, but I was just kind of doing it intuitively, and now I actually see that the numbers are very, very different.
Yeah, makes sense. I heard something similar where for startups, sales should be the founder until you get to 1 million ARR. Because
Yeah,
up
I
until then, it's not for sure that there's something that's replicable that you can just give it to a sales team to do.
1 million are okay if you're far from there, but yeah, I think so too. I think so too, because like it should be the founder that should be doing the outreach and sales. The only problem is that when you're starting out, like 1 year ago, I was not comfortable with this role at all. I'd been a developer all my life. I'd written researches, I'd written, like I'd presented on forums, but this felt, I don't know, very icky for me that, I'm messaging people out, and it felt like I'm trying to get their time and that it's not polite, and I had to work a lot on myself to kind of go through over that. And there was this one event I actually took a, not a sales class, but it was kind of like an accelerator. And they asked me like, what is the one thing that you absolutely dread? And I said to that person that asking people for money. And this was something I could not just do. And then he said that you have to do one LinkedIn post and you have to pre-sell your extension, what you're thinking to build, for $1. You have to ask people for $1. And it was like I took 3 hours writing that one post, and I like edited it, removed it, wrote it again, edited it, removed it, and then like entering my PayPal or link was like I really had a mini heart attack. My hands were all sweaty, but when I pressed enter, in 10 hours, 130 people actually sent me dollars.
That's
So
awesome.
that was the
Wow.
point
That's
where it
amazing.
completely flipped for me. That was like one experiment. I'm so thankful for that person who pushed me for this. But after that, like glass ceiling, that glass ceiling has completely like, broken for me. Now I can message anyone. I don't care.
No problem. You're a pro now. Yeah. Yeah,
I feel
definitely.
like that's a really good tip for anyone that anyone could take, is that if you're, it's basically like facing up to your fear. This is an experiment you can run, and it forces you to face the fear. Like, ask for $1 for your product and see what happens. But also, I think it sounds like you were really able to communicate the value of the product in the post, because if it doesn't seem valuable to people, then they're not going to pay you the dollar.
Yeah. But then that's a good test. Then that means that you save 1 year, 2 years of your life, not
Yeah.
trying to go after something that will not work.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. It's that thing where sell it before you build it, right? And it can
Yes.
be a strong habit to break for people who are technically minded. because your natural instinct is to build, right? And so that's where comfort is. So let me do the thing that's comfortable first. That's fun also.
This week's episode is also brought to you by N8N. Its beautiful UI allows any user to go in and experiment with building AI agents, but also create the types of workflows and evals that are required for production level agents. Try it today by visiting the link in our show notes. You'll get 2 weeks free. I wanted to wrap up a little bit with a question that we ask every guest that we skipped past because the story was so fascinating. What's your hottest take about AI?
Okay, what's my hottest take about AI? The hottest take that I have is that I do think that AI is going to make a lot of jobs redundant, but I don't think that it's going to be a bad thing because I think that people will just evolve and start working on even bigger problems that we haven't had bandwidth to cater until now. For example, space exploration, ocean exploration. There was this project that I heard about, like there was this team that is using AI agents to decipher how birds talk to each other. So they're trying to decipher the language of the birds. Like when we will be free of the mundane tasks, uh, be it, I don't know, content writing, script generation, image generation, then everyone will have to like level up and we will start picking bigger and better challenges. That's my take.
I love that take. All right, getting to the last question here. So obviously you built AI context flow. You're also talking to all these users who are kind of super users of context switching. And so I'm curious for you if you had to boil down some, maybe a top 2 or 3 tips and tricks that people should be using when thinking about providing context to LLMs. What are the most important things to you there?
Okay, since we are talking to a lot of people, we have realized that it's very hard to strike the balance between what everyone needs. So there are
Mhm.
like sometimes there are completely contradictory requirements coming. So there are, for example, let's say there is a developer who's trying to wipe code an application and they've written their architectural decisions and their requirements and everything in one document. Now they want this entire document to be injected as context when they move between agents so that they can see or they can like make some parts of it from one agent and some parts from it from another agent. So this is the kind of user that wants their entire 100% context being moved from agent to agent. Then there's another, the content writer does not want the entire blog or entire 50 blogs that they've written. They want a gist of it. They just
Mhm.
want a summary. They just want that, okay, this is like, this is the blog that I worked in, and this was the direction that I was working in. Now I need to focus on this area. So they need a gist of it. So there are all these different directions that you can go into, and it is impossible to make one generic solution for everything. And I believe that for good context engineering, the user will also need to start providing their own preferences. Okay, this is what I need. Like kind of like switches in the tool. Like I need full context. No, I just need summaries. No, I just need this. Because otherwise it's not really that straightforward. The second thing is that when a lot of people confuse context and memory as well. These are two completely different things. Not completely different things, but they're sufficiently different. So context is just about, what's in your current conversation window, what did you add in the prompt, and what's the external documents that you're providing. Memory is a completely different ballgame altogether. Memory is more like how the human memory works. For example, when you talk about, let's say you're writing a prompt, you're talking to an AI agent as if it were your friend, and you talk about what happened on my wedding day. Now this is what we're trying to do is we're trying to trigger a memory of a specific event that happened several years ago. So if you're thinking about it in terms of random context, what it would do is that it would say, okay, wedding day, and it would go and it would like run a RAG pipeline over your context and then bring in whatever it find related to wedding day. But essentially, what your intention when you ask that question is that it gives you details about what you were feeling that day, what you were wearing that day, who came to your wedding, what did you eat on your wedding day. And these are now relationships. And when a human brain works, this memory works in like a kind of like a, think of it like a graph. So there's this node, and then there are several memories attached to this one core memory. So this is like an important event. And now when you ask this question, your intention is to bring these all interconnected nodes and talk about it. But a simple context system cannot do that. But a complex memory system can do that. This is a type of memory called episodic memory. And now this is where things get interesting, because the memory system of AI is a hot research area right now. There are several attempts to it. ChatGPT is doing it in certain way. Claude is doing it in certain way. There are third-party external memory systems, but nobody has really got it 100% right until now. And definitely, there is no portability even between the vendors that are trying to do it. But this is like, I am personally very fascinated, and this is also a problem that we are trying to crack. So that when you like write on a agent what happened on my wedding day, and it optimize the prompt, it does not just bring whatever it finds related to wedding or day, but like actual events that happened surrounding that node. And for this, like there are some new techniques like graph rag and stuff that, or knowledge graphs that help with this. But yeah, but it's a very nuanced topic.
Wow. I feel like that could be a whole nother episode.
And of course, the last tip is use AI context flow for
Yes.
your day-to-day needs
Yes.
to port your memory and context between different LLMs.
Yeah. And you will get some value out of it today, but if you stay with us long enough, there's a lot of more exciting features that we are developing behind the scenes, and a lot more interesting memory features as well, so that you can ask about what happened on your wedding day.
That's
And
awesome.
yeah, so just try it out.
Awesome. So, well, this was a great conversation, Hira. Thank you so much for taking time to chat with us. Where can people find you?
LinkedIn. I'm most active on LinkedIn. You just go write Hira Siddiqui on LinkedIn. I'm pretty sure you will. I'll be in the top few results. So I'm pretty searchable.
All right, sounds good. And we'll also include a link in the show notes.
Amazing. Thank you again. We really appreciate your time, Hira. With that, thank you everyone for listening. That was Hira Siddiqui from Plurality Network. Go check out AI Context Flow and leave us a like, a review, subscribe to the channel, and let us know what you think. Are there other products that you'd like us to test out? If so, let us know. But with that,
Yep.
we'll see you next week.
See you next week.